It's pretty wild when you stop and think about it. The fingerprints of empires that crumbled to dust centuries ago, they're all over our modern world. From the way our courts work, to the little traditions in our own families. We don't see them, but oh, they are there.
I mean, have you ever really thought about it? We throw these huge words around all the time, but where did the actual blueprints for these ideas get drawn up? Well, the answer goes way, way back.
And that's really the core of what we're digging into here. The courts of ancient China, the Roman Forum, the Athenian Agora, these aren't just ruins for tourists to snap pictures of. Nope. They're still whispering to us, still shaping what we believe about power, about community, even about what's sacred.
To really get this, we need a new way of looking at empires. They didn't just conquer land, they conquered ideas. You could almost say they installed operating systems for belief.
See, it's easy to think of empires as just armies and taxes, right? But they did so much more. They were in the business of organizing morality itself. They told these incredibly powerful stories about what's right, what's wrong, and who's in charge. And that social code, it outlasts the armies by millennia.
And that's the key. Think about it. Rulers come and go, borders get redrawn, but that underlying software, those fundamental ideas about how society should function, it just keeps on running in the background, quietly guiding everything.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But what does it actually look like in the real world? Well, let's start with a massive example, the political DNA we inherited directly from ancient Greece and Rome.
Man, the ancient Greeks. They were basically running a giant political science lab. Their wild experiments with citizen assemblies and public debate, that's the direct ancestor of modern parliaments. When you hear protesters today chanting about the people's voice, they're tapping right into an ideal that was born in the bustling city-states of ancient Greece.
But then came Rome. And they took these ideas and scaled them up to a level the world had never seen. They took local customs and forged them into an imperial backbone of law. Ideas about citizenship, about contracts, about legal rights. They're so fundamental that you can find echoes of Roman law in legal systems all over the planet.
Just think about that for a second. These aren't just words. Every single time we talk about a republic or a senate or even a citizen, we're tapping into a political world that was designed in marble and dust 2,000 years ago. We are, in a very real way, still speaking Roman.
But hey, the classical world is only one piece of this puzzle. It's super important to remember that. So let's zoom out and explore some completely different moral blueprints from other incredible civilizations. And this is where you see just how many different answers there are to the question, what makes a good society? For the ancient Egyptians, justice wasn't just a verdict in a court. It was about maintaining ma'at, this delicate cosmic balance that kept the whole universe from falling apart. In Mesopotamia, kings weren't just powerful, their rule was a sacred trust from the gods themselves. And then you've got India, which gave the world this profound concept of karma, the idea that every action has a moral consequence. And in China, Confucian values taught that the ultimate goal was social harmony, achieved through a deep respect for hierarchy and duty. And these ideas, they're not just footnotes in a history book. They are very much alive, still shaping how millions think about family, duty, and government today.
And here's the kicker. We are still debating these exact same questions. Is society better when it's built on clear hierarchies and duties? Or is it about compassion and balance? The ancient conversation is still happening right now, all around us.
All right, I know we've been talking about some pretty big abstract ideas, but what if I told you these imperial legacies aren't just invisible? They are literally built into the world around us. You just have to know how to spot them. Just look at the layout of almost any major city. That big central square, those grand, imposing government buildings, the monuments to past glories, that's an imperial design pattern. These are the spaces we still instinctively use for public celebrations, for protests, for national moments. And it's not just the spaces, it's the rituals. What you could call the choreography of authority. I mean, is an imperial throne really all that different from a presidential podium? They both serve the same purpose, to elevate one person and focus all the power and attention on them. A royal coronation and a modern inauguration ceremony, they share the same DNA. The crowns might have become official seals, the robes might have become business suits, but the gestures, the oaths, the solemn transfer of power, it's all uncannily similar. It's wild.
So really, every time you hear a national anthem or visit a national monument, you're taking part in a small ceremony. A ceremony that plugs you directly into this long, unbroken line of imperial pageantry stretching back for centuries.
Now this is where it all comes together for us, today in the 21st century. Because empires are not a thing of the past. They've just changed their shape. And right now, there's a battle raging over which story will define our future.
Today's empires don't always need armies. Their tools are technology, finance, and global media. They export their values and beliefs not with swords, but with software, with capital, and with culture.
And what are these new beliefs they're exporting? Things like individualism, universal human rights, consumer choice, and these powerful modern ideas are crashing right into those much older imperial operating systems we've been talking about, creating this complex, sometimes messy, hybrid world we all live in.
And this gets right to the heart of it. When you see those fiery debates about globalization versus nationalism, what you are really watching is a battle of stories. It's a fight over which empire's narrative is going to win. The ancient one of order and hierarchy, or the modern one of individual freedom.
Because at the end of the day, that's what this all is. These echoes aren't just faint historical noise. They are the invisible, powerful soundtrack playing underneath every single argument we have about freedom, about faith, and about the kind of future we want to build.
Which really leaves just one big question for you. The past isn't gone. It's embedded in everything. So take a look around at your own life, at your own beliefs. Which ancient story, which imperial echo is shaping your world right now?